Hello, everybody. Welcome to Homo Sapiens. Another beautiful day, another beautiful episode. I come to you live and direct from my office. But I'm not alone. I've got a friend with me, Kadiff Kirwan. Um, Welcome to Homo Sapiens and your co-hosting role.
Thank you so much for having me, Chris. I'm very excited to be here.
What are you looking forward to about this role? What would you like it to be? How would you like? What would you like to get out of this?
I would like it to be like a little injection of queer positivity and
Mm.
laughter. Just a bit of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Just a bit of fun. Looking for a bit of fun. I think the world is really, really heavy at the moment, especially
Yeah.
for us as queer people and just the world generally. So why don't we just inject the queers? I shouldn't say inject, should I?
Yes, you
why?
can.
Why
Oh,
don't we
I love it.
just cover everyone in beautiful queer fun? Yeah,
Yeah. I think you're going to give us a bit of, you're going to sprinkle us with a bit of sort of creative magic dust. You are, you're a West End Wendy. I
yeah,
mean, how many
yeah.
plays have you seen this week?
Okay, in the last 8 days, I've seen 5 shows.
So
Although I
I
will
feel
say,
like,
none of them were musicals.
okay, fine. Oh, is West End Wendy is musicals? Yeah,
I assume so, but
I
none
think
of them.
so.
I do love a musical, though. It has been said.
And actually, what would be quite cool, Kadiff, maybe.
Mm.
So we're doing community notice board,
Mm.
which, as I say it out loud, I've just remembered I haven't got one to say, but I'll find one during this record. Uh, you could be our West End correspondent as well. You could tell us what's good on stage.
Yeah.
So today we're going to be talking about code switching. One thing I want to say is we need you to all let us know what you would like us to talk about on this here
Yeah.
series. So hello at homosapienspodcast.com, at homosapiens on Instagram. Please get in touch and tell us podcast topics
For the show.
for the show to cover for the show for the
For the
show
show.
for
Yeah.
the show. Oh, hang on, the dog. Wait, the dog's attacking someone.
Look
One
at
sec.
this, listeners. This is what happens. Real life
This is
happens.
why we're
And we're
videoing.
keeping all of
Sorry.
this in.
Hello.
What was it?
The
Delivery?
DPD delivery.
Oh, what
The
have you
dog
ordered?
is. I don't know, Kadifa. I haven't been into a shop in like 10 years, so I just everything is
Wow.
online. What about you?
You're the king of e-commerce. Um,
I
I
am a
literally
bit.
just had a delivery just before we started recording, actually.
What was it?
It was a new pair of boots from Paul Smith.
Is that your thing?
Oh my God, yeah. I like shoes, trainers, those kind of things. I've got a spare, it's like a cupboard thing upstairs, and in it is maybe 45 boxes of shoes, unworn, unopened. Just,
Whoa.
but just like you never know a day when a gold Nike trainer might come in handy. I've
Yes.
got them, you know?
So, but are you in that? Because I know there's various versions of trainer collecting where, like, is it deliberate that you won't wear them, or you are willing to? You just haven't found
Oh
the
no, I'm
moment.
very much willing to wear them. Yeah, yeah, totally. I'm just like, I want to be covered for all bases, you know. You get a fancy dress, you go to a dinner party, there's a trainer, there's a boot, there's a rain boot, there's
Yeah.
there's a Birkenstock for a different occasion, you know. I'm covered.
See, I feel stressed by that. Like
Why?
I think that my mum was very thrifty and was sort of very kind of like if you made a meal, then the end of the meal got turned into something else. Like very
Mm.
kind of like, and she was very that. And I think so. Anything. So I have. This is a long answer, but it's sort of fucked up and gay because so I have this thing where I have to tell myself that it has a really important purpose to buy it, but I still buy loads of shit. I just convince myself I'm going to use it and then I don't. You know what I mean? It's
Okay.
not like I'm saying, oh, I'm living off grid. It's like I can't ever allow myself the idea that one day I'll wear it. I'd be like, I need these walking shoes because now I'm going to be a walker. And then I get a coat and I'm like, I'm a walking person now. Then I never do the walk. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but you're also allowed to change. You're allowed to do that. I think one of the perks
Kadiv,
of being adult and
that is
owning your own
beautiful.
money and just like it's like you have zero people to answer to when it comes to spend. I mean, you actually do have someone to answer to, your partner, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But
honey,
Yeah,
he is worse than me. Like I'm always like, babe, the problem with you and me is like normally most couples have like one sensible person. This is like the what is it? The scream is coming from within the house or whatever.
the calls are coming from within the house. Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
it.
But I think you should let yourself off the hook. Um,
Really?
yeah, I think you should. I think you should. I think you should spend your money on whatever you want to spend it on. I mean, my
Thanks,
other half
honey.
doesn't. He's not bothered. I mean, we don't. We just buy what we like, and we don't have any kids. You've got kids.
Yeah, I buy shit for them as well. They don't need.
See, look at that.
Are you quite a philosophical person?
You're gonna have to break that question down for me, because my instinct is to say yes, but also no. So,
I'll tell you where the question came from, and then we can maybe break it down together. There is a very sunny radiance about you, which is lovely, and it's
okay.
very immediate, and
Ding.
yeah, it's really funny how immediate it is. It's quite rare in people,
Oh
but
gosh, this is so nice.
and I think that speaks to someone being quite centered and then what you just said is like, oh, you shouldn't beat yourself up about it. It's a very calm, kind of reflective, mature way to think about it. You know?
Oh yeah. I think what you're hitting on and what you're observing, it's basically it was my mum. My mum's no longer with us, but my mum was like
Sorry.
the most. No, it's totally okay. She was just she'd walk into a room and it's literally like it went from -4 to 30 degrees, just light and heat and radiance. Like she was just I was just surrounded by that growing up the whole time, and she had the most positive outlook on everything. So like I think I just sort of adopted that. So myself and all my siblings we're quite similar in that respect. We're quite positive people. And I genuinely don't know another way of being. Like I'm also quite curious. I love to ask questions because we don't know everything. And if someone's willing to share something, it's just so nice because you leave going, oh, I learned that today.
Yes.
So yeah, I don't know. Thank you for the compliments. I don't need therapy anymore. This is great.
Yeah, it's interesting though because like I absorb more stuff about parenting now than I used to because I am now a parent, and it's really funny. It's like it says your children don't act how you tell them to; they act how you behave to others. And I feel like you're saying that in a way about your mum.
Yeah, totally. But also, you're very bright and effervescent and sort of like, but it comes in this package of that's quite measured, which I find so brilliant and fascinating.
Really?
Yeah, I think yeah, you're wonderfully dry, but also not. It's just many things, and it's really great.
That's funny. Yeah, I think like I remember. This is like no, I'm just like this is like whatever. So I remember being very. My mum is really lovely, and I remember being very happy as a kid. I also think I genuinely believe this. I think being gay and that being a horrible experience when I was younger, love it now, obs, created a sort of darker seam in me. And I think that I like rage. I don't think I knew how to like. I think boys are taught quite good patterns to express anger if you're straight because it's like you go and smash people on a football field, and if you don't have that, and I definitely think I had to kind of work through that, and so I think your assessment's pretty good. Like, seemed quite nice, but there's a bit of an edge.
Yeah, well, that's good. That's just you carrying your history and your experience. It's great.
Yeah.
Imagine if we were all the same. It would be so boring.
Yeah. Also,
It's
and
sort
but
of
I
like
do.
when. Sorry, I was going to say something really just now. No, continue.
Oh,
Although
go
it's on topic. I mean, it's like when I see queer couples who are
on.
I heard this word the other day, and lots of people
Doppelgangers.
doppelbangers.
Oh wow, I love it.
Doppelbangers, queer
Yes.
people, couples who look exactly the effing same. I'm
I
like,
find that so
that
odd.
is wild to me. Just go and do it with a mirror. Like,
Yeah, it's really funny that, isn't it? It's like
mm,
because okay, doppelbangers listening, please can you write in and tell us if you've ever
yeah.
been told you look exactly like your other half. What is there an appeal? Have you dated lots of people who are also doppelbangers? to you? Or does it piss you off? Like, does it really annoy you because maybe you just love is love, baby? But
Yeah.
it is really interesting because I've never found people who look like me attractive.
Same.
Apart from like Ryan Gosling, apart from
Brad Pitt, you
Brad Pitt,
know,
yeah.
yeah,
But
yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah.
Brad's issue more than
Jake
mine.
Gyllenhaal, yeah,
Jake
yeah.
Gyllenhaal. That is sometimes we can't even be. We've never actually been in the same room, and there's quite a lot of internet rumors
Yeah,
about that
there's quite a
because
few forums about that, isn't there?
yeah. So Mumsnet, Reddit,
Cue the fan fiction.
written all by Chris Sweeney, which is odd.
That's
Same name as
yeah,
me,
yeah.
but yes, I do find that interesting. But yeah, what is that? That it's
I find it interesting too. It's like, and it's not like I'm judging, but I'm also judging. But I just find it
yeah.
fascinating.
Welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, God,
Judging, but not.
give people a mic and a voice and a
Yeah,
podcast, then yeah, there'd be no end.
but that is really interesting actually, and I wonder if like if it I wonder if people will write in and please write in everyone and tell us, and I'll put it on socials as well because I think we should talk more about that because it is quite a
Yeah.
specifically queer thing, isn't it?
It is, but it's that weird thing though. I mean, there's that phrase that we all use no matter the spectrum, and it's like opposites attract. But we've
Mm.
actually don't have another phrase for when it's like the same people want to fuck the same people. Like in the, outside of
Yeah.
doppelgangers, you know, it's like there's like
Yes.
opposites attract is so beautiful. There's a guy that's 6'4" and there's a other guy who's 2'1". Like, oh, that's great. Like, you know, whatever.
Yes.
If it's a height thing, if it's a, you know, whatever it is.
I
But you
think,
never really hear about the other way around when it's just
but I also wonder if there's something else in it as well about like, so people can look the same.
mm-hmm,
And I also think that culturally,
mm-hmm,
I wonder if anyone out there agrees. I think, and I'm talking about gay men specifically,
mm,
uh, people are beginning to look quite similar. Like, I think people are becoming a little bit more homogenized
yeah,
because everyone's, and so I wonder if there's a bit of that. But there is also that thing of like, but their personalities could be extremely different. And
yeah.
I have this theory that in every couple, there is one person who is order and one person is chaos.
Which are
And
you?
I'm actually order, weirdly.
Great.
Although what I'll say is there are, but also it can be like different segments. So if there is an area in which I am order, William will be chaos, and if there's an area in which I'm chaos, he will be order. So,
Ah.
so it's like, but we do.
Yeah, I definitely in my relationship that's definitely the case. Also, there's one that's order and one that's chaos, and I won't
Interesting.
specify just in case he ends up listening to this.
Yeah. Trust me,
But he
because
knows, you know which one you are, and you know which one I am.
but it's the beautiful tapestry, isn't it, of like people
Yeah,
coming together. I want to hear from people in thruples if that counts as well. Does
yeah.
everyone,
Oh
or
yes,
or
yes.
quadruples or
Or anyone in some sort
whatever
of polyamorous
whatever's the
coven.
rage at the moment? Yeah,
Yeah, coven. Why did I dig that word out?
people
It's very
people
weird.
living in sex communes. I want to hear from you. Hello at homosapienspodcast.com.
Yeah.
Are you chaos and order with the 14 other people involved in your
Yeah.
um, relationship with a
Poly
preacher?
thing. Well, I suspect they've got to be a bit organized because how do you do the admin? Who do you WhatsApp first? How do you meet? Do you go for dinner with this person? Do you stay 3 nights at this one night at that one? There's got to be a level of order that is connected to being in a couple
How true.
in an outside in an unconventional relationship where there's more than two people.
How
I would say,
true.
but I'm not speaking from experience
Someone's
at
got
all.
to be ordered there. Well,
Exactly.
so talking to someone who was in one in a thruple,
Throuple.
they were saying, I was like, how do you do it? And they were like, listen, you've just got to be on top of your diary. And I was like, not just on top of your thruple, you've got to be on top of your diary. And I was
No.
like, interesting. So that alone holds no interest for me. I don't want to, you know what I mean?
Yeah. It starts to feel like
So
admin.
admin, yeah, and no disrespect to anyone who's in a very happy throuple.
He's
Someone said
lying.
this funny,
Loads of disrespect. Loads.
loads, yeah. Well, it's funny. Someone said this thing online the other day. It was like, there's never nothing more telling than when a gay couple on Instagram, you start to see a third person show up in their photos, and then gradually one of the original people just leave the photos,
Oof.
and you realize that like basically they've become a couple.
Right.
Uh,
Oh, I've never seen that. That is brilliant.
I've seen it a few times, and you're like, oh god.
I think there should be more documentaries about like thruples and stuff like that, and the unconventional ways of
Mm.
having relationships. I think we need to normalize it more in the mainstream media, so that
It's
it isn't
all
as strange seeming. Or
yeah.
yeah,
It's always going to be titillating for some reason, and not for some reason, but
yeah,
write in, listeners. Why do you think it is? Hello at homesapienspodcast.com. But like, I find it really interesting because you notice. I remember there being articles about someone being in a throuple when I was like 10, or like 12, and now still, if that article was in the paper today, and I'm talking about the kind of paper, who cares about that kind of article?
mm,
But like, it would be written in the same way. We haven't progressed at all.
no, I think you're right.
It's
But it's
very odd.
also anything in that fashion is sort of done in a clickbaity way to get traffic to
Yeah.
the channel or the you know. It would be
Mm.
interesting if like if say a queer person or a queer group who are in that situation are willing and open enough to take it on themselves to interview other people and stuff to see what they find, as opposed to
That's
someone from the
cool.
outside doing it,
Yes. That
because
is
then you don't
always
have
the
the
thing.
critical eye.
Yes.
God, I should be a TV producer or some sort of like
Babe, you've just
queer
started.
person. Oh wait, I am.
Maybe
I'm the latter,
I
not
should
the
be a queer
former,
person.
guys. I'm the latter.
Well, you know what?
Yep.
If anyone wants to make a documentary with Kadiff as producer, just let us know.
Yes, yes, yes.
Should we talk about the topic of the week?
I am very excited to talk about this topic because I find it that I do it without even realizing, and then I walk away
I
from the thing.
know.
So, what is the topic of the week, Chris?
Topic is code switching.
Mm.
Now, I will say, interesting that you said earlier, it's nice to learn things because we don't know everything. Someone did message me on Instagram saying, not a criticism, but I do find the use of the word code switching specifically for queer people to be a little uncomfortable to my ear because I've always known the phrase to be used in the context of people of colour, foreign nationals, etc. So, as someone who is intersectional in that way, it feels a little jarring to hear it in this context. But also, language develops and adapts, etc., etc.
Mm.
So, yeah.
I'm exactly the same in that respect. That I am of a different descent to most people in this country, and I'm queer. So, the code switching takes on several different layers and levels,
Yeah.
which I think we all have that in some way. But yeah, for people who are of the global majority, it's different. But let's talk about it.
Yeah.
That's why we're here.
Well, exactly. And yeah, and I actually just I didn't know it had those connotations. So thank you for letting me know that. And yeah, sorry. But let's talk about it. So, Kadiff,
Yes.
tell me so what shall I, do you want to just read that little definition that I
Okay,
put at the
so
top of the story?
code switching. The art of modifying one's speech, behavior, or appearance to fit into mainstream or non-LGBTQ plus environments, often as a survival strategy to avoid discrimination, discomfort, and sometimes even violence. That is what's coming
Mm.
up in regards to code switching.
So we asked you, do you code switch? And 92% of you said, heck yes. Then we said, can you think of a time when you have code switched? 100% of you said yes. Do LGBTQ plus people have to code switch to stay safe? 94% of you said yes. And then, do you have a story about code switching? Yes, it's serious, 55%. Yes, it's funny, 45%. So I will play one of our voice notes here because, and this is a funny one. So this is Love Bananarama on Instagram. I'm just going to play it here.
Great name.
So the code switching usually happens in a cab because you're kind of confined into their space, and like in a Uber, you're also a bit worried about your score, and so I found myself listening to them talking about their family, because a few of the drivers are really chatty, and they're talking about their family lives. A few of them have asked me, about my wife, and I've sort of not told them, not sort of, just haven't told them that I'm gay, and I've just gone along with it. The worst time was when my best friend, who is a woman, caught me describing someone as mate, a word I would never say, and she howled at me. She howled. She said, "What was that?" Because I don't know. Even my whole stance changed when I was speaking to this straight guy. So yeah, sometimes you feel a bit vulnerable, and I'm not proud of it. That you have to sort of change your stance a little bit, and pretend you're a family man with 3 children, I guess.
I love that one because that is one of my chief code switching places is in a taxi.
That's the same for
Um,
me.
so tell me more about what it means for you, Kadiff, and talking about particularly, I wanted to talk to you about, like you said, about for the global majority, it's different.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I had it at school. I was code switch. I code switched straight away at school, and it was nothing to do with being queer. I mean, I moved from the Caribbean to the northwest to Lancashire when I was between 8 and 9 years old,
Mm.
and my mum said I lost my Caribbean accent within 4 weeks. So my code switch in that respect was so quick. It was like, I'm not from the Caribbean. I'm Northern. What you on about? Like it was
Yeah.
just completely straight away. And that was also as a protective thing. But you're a kid, so you have no idea. When it
Mm.
comes to queerness, I think I have it on set when I'm at work a lot, and it's always, always, always when you start a job and you're sort of caught in some like very tight, like small space with a gaffer or a rigger or a crew member, and they ask you about football, and I'm like, no, I don't want to talk about football. But then I do this thing where I'm like, no, I'm not into football, but I do like tennis. Do you like Wimbledon? And it's just like, I want to point out to you that I am interested in sport, but I'm a
Mm.
little bit fairy. So, and
Mm.
that's usually my code
It's,
switching prowess happens in that environment. It's usually with a crew member.
yes, and it's I'm the same.
Yeah,
But I also think it's really interesting, like doing it as a kid when perhaps you're, you know, um, you're perhaps not even as aware why you're doing it, yet you were still doing it, And
yeah.
so when you were, so you came to Lancashire when you were 7. So then, were there? Was it just completely white your school? How? What was it
I
like?
was the only black kid in my primary school class. I think there
Mm,
were in my primary school. I think there were maybe three, but they were like literally all my
wow.
family members, as in my cousins or like
Right.
that was at my primary school.
That's interesting.
When I went to secondary school, I had one of my older brothers and a cousin who were in a few years above me. But it was always like you can count on one hand the amount of people from the global majority that were in that environment. So the code switching always took on this like other thing of like wanting to be, and I was gay as hell, as in inside,
Mm,
but I was
yes.
presenting as like, oh, yeah, we're gonna go and smoke a cigarette on a Friday night on this park and drink 2020, or was it 2020, or was it called 4040? What was it called?
Oh,
That awful drink in like
really
fluorescent,
strong.
yeah, or white lightning cider,
White
like,
lightning.
oh
Yes.
gosh.
Yes.
So it was always code switching sort of to seem more macho, to hang out with my friends or to speak to girls, fully knowing I didn't want to do any of it. I just wanted to
Yeah.
go to ballet.
Yeah. Well, it's funny, isn't it? Because so I think there's this thing for us specifically, for example, like we code switch to say we like football with a cab driver, for example, if you know, and we're doing that because we're queer, we're not interested. But I actually think there's tons of straight men who code switch to do
Oh.
it as well, because they've got nothing, but they're not even doing it because there's some, at least we have a truth of ourselves that we return to. Whereas in fact, I think a lot of men are just socialized that that's all they can talk about. I don't know.
Yeah. They've been told it's the glue that will weave them together with other people.
Or
Weave
maybe
them,
they just like it.
stick them, congeal them.
Mm. But yeah, it's do you remember the first time? What's the first time you can remember code switching? Tell me about that time.
Oh, well, as an adult or as a child? Like
As a child.
as
What
a
earliest
child,
memory?
I remember very specifically code switching. I was with my cousins, and then I went home and I was with my brothers. My cousins and I were playing dolls all day,
Yeah, great.
all day, and I had the best time. And it was with my cousin. I think it was my cousin Bridget. Yeah, and then I went home, and I have three older brothers, but I was with two of my brothers, and they were like, they'd been out or something, and then they were like, "What have you been doing all day?" And I was like, "Oh, we went to the park, and then we went down to the river, and then we were like throwing these rocks, and then we were like, it was amazing, and then like I nearly hit a frog with this big rock, fully knowing I was literally just like combing cabbage patches all day."
Wow, that's
And it's
so
so weird
funny.
that like I guess my younger self just wanted to protect myself, and my
Yeah.
brothers. I mean, my brothers, they would never have taken the mick out of me or anything. They would have absolutely not cared.
Yes.
But I just projected this thing onto them because I knew it was like dolls are for girls and playing nuts for boys. And so I was just like, let me
Yeah.
code switch and just blatantly lie about what I've been doing with my
Yes.
day.
It's so funny. Yeah, you're reminding me of like when I used to do a version of that where, so my parents were, I had dolls and they didn't care and stuff, and like, but we would after school we would go back to our neighbour's house till my mum got home from work. But in between that time, I would pretend I didn't play with dolls to the other boy who lived there. Do you know what I mean? And then we'd go home and we'd get my doll out, and I lived like a whole other life at home.
Yeah.
It was very. I'd never actually thought about that as being related to code switching until you started telling that story.
But it is though, isn't it? Am I right?
Yeah.
I think it is
Yeah.
code switching. And then
Totally.
you have that as a reference point, and then you take it into your adult life. But also, I think one of the reasons I've become an actor is because I started code switching from an early age. Because
Interesting.
you take on a sort of a different truth in a way, don't you? For a moment.
Yeah. That's God, yes. You code switch into somebody.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. That's what I find so interesting about acting. So because I'm a director, so obviously I'm around actors a lot, but I'm not acting. Like there's not, my job and theirs doesn't really blur. Whereas me and like an editor or me and a cameraman, like our jobs can blur a bit. You know what I mean? Whereas with acting, it's like go on.
Yeah.
Oh,
Although I was going to say,
go
as a director, don't you think there is a level of acting that you have to do with the crew and with actors in order to get to see through your vision through?
I've started doing this thing. I just talk a bit deeper and a bit more aggressively on set because it just gets more done. And that is code switching.
Yep.
I'll just be like, no, everybody over there. And I'm like, why do I have to? I feel like I'm performing it a little bit. But actually, I think on those kind of spaces where there's a hierarchy, people seem to quite want it or something. Because I try being like, so I think there's a bit of that. Yeah, and it's like just we're getting
nothing
nowhere.
gets done.
So
you go over. Yeah.
Yeah, so now I do think I do behave like that, and I quite like being dad now. But it's like it is that kind of performative thing. But I think that when there's also when you're saying about social, like I think there's a big code switching thing that goes on, like when you go. Well, I think Glastonbury's quite a good example because you'll go and see like Pulp, and you'll dance around and sort of have to pretend that you liked Pulp more than you did. And then you'll go to LCD Sound System and it's all quite like, yes, about, you know, and then you're sort of code switching into that. And like, there's a lot of like, everything has a performative nature to it.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And I think the thing to be mindful of is like, where is Do you know that saying that your locus of evaluation,
Oh no,
locus of
I've never
self?
heard this.
So it's like there's yourself and how you feel truly, and that's in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And then often code switching is about turning into someone else, and that locus of evaluation is quite far away from your center. I'm pointing
Right,
for those
okay.
listening in audio, old school. And what you can do is if you spend a lot of time out there, far away from yourself, it's just not good for you. You're not doing your true self any good service. So I suppose that's like being in the closet, right? You're never saying.
Yeah, I think there's a really interesting code switching thing that happens with an online persona and an in real life persona,
Yes.
especially with social media, or if someone is online dating and then they meet that person. Like there's a level of that's across heterosexual everything. It's across the entire world, I'd say. What do you think about that?
With some people, I have had to kind of just stop tuning into who I know in real life as well, stop tuning into their online persona, because they're playing a role, and
100%.
it's their work and it's nothing to do with them. And actually, I need to, in this world, it happened over COVID because we weren't seeing each other at all and we weren't allowed to. I was saying to William, it's like you do have to remind yourself to see people in real life because they are nothing like they portray themselves on Instagram. And I'm not talking about people with like massive followings. I'm talking about just people are just a bit different on Instagram and social media and
Totally.
possibly not their best version of themselves sometimes,
It's so true.
including myself.
Me and my one of my best friends, literally, we were at the theatre last week, and we were like, we need to make an actual pact that we can't go 2 weeks without seeing each other, because it's that thing of like just what you were saying. Like if you don't see each other, this thing becomes weird. I'm like, oh, I didn't know he went there. He was posted that thing, and it's like, oh, why is he talking? I was like, oh, we haven't seen each other, so I'm just projecting, and so it's. I think seeing people in real life is very, very important. And then you can say, "Ha, you've code switched." Oh, you're not code switching. Yeah.
The vibrations that come off being around someone, and actually, it's really important. And I think we don't remember that. And Alan Cumming shared this thing on Instagram, and Alan is very amazing about authenticity, and he is not the most, because it's not a competition, but he is an incredibly authentic person. And if he doesn't want to do something, he'll just say, I don't want to do that. And I really love that about him. And we are very different people for that reason, because I'm like, oh, let's just make everyone happy. Whereas, not that Alan isn't making people unhappy, but like, I'm always trying to bend to the group, let's say. And Alan is like, no, people will love you for being yourself. And he shared this thing online saying they did all these tests about vibrations, or like what energy that's emitted. I make it sound more woo-woo than it is. But the thing, more than love, more than anger, more than all of these things that came up on the chart that they were measuring on, it was authenticity that really resonated with people, and they could feel it even though they couldn't put their finger on what it was.
Yep.
And so when and that's what I find a bit funny about when you're in the cab with a if you're in a taxi, and a taxi driver asks you about football because they're being nice and trying to make a conversation, and then you start sort of pretending something. I think there's this tacit agreement that you're both lying. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think they can tell.
More often than not,
probably because I'm smoking a Vogue in the back.
But also, it's interesting. Back to when I read out that thing, it's saying it's often used to protect oneself so there's no, if one's in danger.
But also in the queer spaces, when you were going back to that previous question, you said, like, I think like there's a massive code switch that goes on when you go into like those big club environments like XXL. Did you ever go there?
Back in the day, yes.
Back in the day.
Oh, I used to love it there because it was so body positive.
Was it?
Oh my God, yeah, totally. I found it like there were just people of all shapes and sizes, and I found it personally, and this is as someone of the global majority and someone who's queer, I found that space to be less judgmental than, say, a gay bar in Soho.
Well, that was all in my head then.
But that's just I can't speak for anyone else, but that was for me.
Did you take your top off in there?
Not very often. And then if I'd run into someone or my friends, they'd be like, "Oh, just do it." And then more often than not, I'm like, "Oh, I don't really want to do that." But then I would, and I didn't feel stared at or looked at
Well, if people are throwing dollar bills your way, you know.
yeah, well, there's that too. No, but I don't know. For some reason, that club and that space in particular always felt like a very supportive space in my experience, which I love.
Oh, well,
And I don't feel
that's
that
cool.
anymore when I go out. Actually,
And
tell a
where do
lie.
you,
There's one other place where that exists now, um,
which is,
which is a queer club night called HCL, Hardcock Life.
oh
It's
yeah, yeah.
yeah, run by the brilliant Josh Cole. Yeah,
Mm.
that's a really body positive space as well for queer people, and because I guess as well because it's mainly R&B, hip hop, rap, all that kind of stuff, and people of the growing
Mm.
majority, I feel even more comfortable. So
Mm.
there's less code switching that happens in that kind of space for me.
That's both interesting and lovely to hear. And then when did you move to London?
I moved to London when I was 18.
And so was there a whole new code switch there from like
Oh
being a
my,
boy from Lancashire who now is in London?
yeah, not just that, because I went from a boy in Lancashire to working in fine dining. I
Oh
worked
wow.
for, do you remember the brilliant celebrity chef, Gary Rhodes?
Yes.
I worked for Gary Rhodes at one of his restaurants. He used to have a restaurant in
Really?
Marble Arch. He had Rhodes W1 Brasserie and Rhodes W1, like which was a one Michelin star fine dining, and it was at the Cumberland Hotel, um, in Marble Arch. I had a job prior to that, another restaurant, at the Royal Lancaster Hotel. Um, but then I went to work for Gary and in that space. So the code switch was happening in regards of like dining and etiquette and sort of like
Yeah.
dealing with people whose coat was more than your rent, and yeah. And especially at 18, 19 years old. Jeez Louise. I don't know who I was then. I haven't got a clue. I must have been code switching every 3 sentences. Like
And do you remember a moment from that time that felt kind of that embodies that most?
yeah, I used to hate olives,
Right.
and we had to do an olive tasting.
Oh wow.
And I was like, oh my god, mm, yeah, this is similar to number one, because last week I made my own tapenade, and I think it's actually it's actually quite similar. Yeah, it was more about like trying to seem a bit more cultured than I was.
I mean, I have a theory that no one has ever liked an olive.
I love an
It's
olive
just,
now, but yeah, back
I
then.
mean, but it's like it takes you so many. There's a it takes you so many goes, and then eventually like them. There is a really funny article that I've always tried to find online, and I can't find. Actually, now Chat GPT is out in the world, you might be able to find it. This guy wrote this long. It was in like the New Yorker or something. It was this piece about how coffee is disgusting, and it's like the biggest thing that has ever. It's like the biggest scam that has ever befall the entire human race. It's really
Mm,
it just goes into all this detail of why it's disgusting, why we're being having the wool pulled over our eyes. And I always felt I read it and I was like, I think olive's the same, you know.
yeah, I mean, not wrong, not wrong.
But I think that we are sort of I think queer people are sort of slightly time travelers in terms of like class and stuff. Like I think we end up moving between different things. Not least because I think often we work in service industries and stuff,
Yep,
you know, like,
yep,
and
yep.
so you end up being there's often in those like super high class environments, there's like, I just feel like there's always like a gay maitre d' running the scene. You know what I mean?
Correct.
And
There was who trained me, and
really,
I ended up becoming one of the hosts, maitre d's. Yeah,
really,
yeah. I worked my way up from a commie chef, not commie chef, commie waiter. I was in charge of bread initially.
which is that's literally 3 years
Yeah.
apprenticeship, isn't it?
Then
It's insane.
decrumbing the table.
Oh, is that above bread?
Yeah. No. Well, after you serve the bread, there's going to be crumbs, so you'd have to
Mm.
decrumb.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually
Mm.
waiter, and then eventually maitre d'. I did this all in like 6 months. It's sort of insane.
That's so funny.
I don't want to
And
brag, guys, but I'm basically a really high achiever.
yeah, I don't want to be funny, but just
Sorry, but
some people
those
do it in a lifetime. Did it
from
in 6 months.
crumbs to serving the rich glitterati of Marble Arch in West London.
Yeah. Was anyone ever really mean to you?
Absolutely.
Really?
Yeah, there were some horrible people. Someone literally spat out the food as I arrived, like a baby. They were like, yeah, many people did many gross things, and
Wow.
yeah, there was also someone. There was a singer that I served, and she was that we'd all know, and she was incredibly rude to me. And I remember meeting her and
Really?
being her waiter and thinking, "Oh my God, you're amazing," and I've never listened to her music since. And
Really?
I'm absolutely not gonna say who it is.
No. And I'm also not going to ask you because it annoys me on podcasts when people do that and then they say it to each other and don't include the listener. And I'm like,
No.
no, that's not fair.
Yeah.
But what I think is really interesting, because I used to do silver service waitering at like big parties, so like not in one venue, like you'd go and do silver service. Like I fucking chuck food all over people. I was so bad. I'm so mal coordinated. I like would drop trays of drinks. Like,
Oh, no. Was it because of your concentration or because of what you were carrying?
I'm just not built for coordination. Like I can't catch. I can't walk in a straight line. Like I can't do anything. Like I've never hit. So, and it's quite coordinated, and they give you these stupid tools to serve potatoes with, like a spoon and a fork. It's like, has anyone just got something a bit more normal?
Yeah, silver service is quite hard because you've got to make it look so easy, even though it's not. And then, especially if you're in places that have gloves and you're not to get a speck or a splashback of anything on your gloves.
I would often be doing something and then I would feel two hands on my shoulder and I would just be moved away from the thing and they'd just be like, can you just go and fill some ice buckets? But what I found really interesting was like those people having those parties are always, there's someone at the heart of it who's extremely rich. And it was so interesting to me how they could be lovely or horrible. And it really wasn't down to it's just about the person. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
I.e., there's no excuse to be rude because you can be all those things and still be nice. It's just if the person doesn't want to be.
I just think kill people with kindness and treat them like human, especially in service. It's like it's such a hard job.
So, Kadiff, have we missed anything? Anything? I mean, no, we've covered every single.
We've covered it all. World peace.
World peace. Everything's solved. I think.
I think if we have missed anything, the listeners can let us know. We can chuck it into our next session.
Please.
But
can you write in?
I don't think we've missed anything. But I also think code switching is okay. It's okay to code switch. However you want to relate to it, absolutely fine. It's your MO. Just don't be afraid to be called out on it.
My mum does this thing where if she's been around my godmother who's French, she talks in a French accent.
I do that.
Like, do you?
I do that all the time, especially with my Irish friends. Oh my God, I do it all the time. But isn't that thing? It's a sympathy accent thing. It's like you reflect what you're being given. I do it all the time. That's why.
Well,
I do accents all the time, but I think it's because I'm just constantly listening and wanting to do it. But it's I don't consciously know that I'm doing it, and they'll be like, "You said crack 4 times in the last minute." I'm like, "Oh, yeah,
yeah." That's part of it, isn't it? It's like it's just sort of. It's like reflecting what's around you, and I think the thing to watch out for is like when it's doing you a disservice. And then sometimes, and just being. For me, it's about being mindful of that. And I actually don't think, like what the listener who said the thing about the taxi, like I actually think in a way that do what pleases you. If you know if it's messing with your heart, you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. If you've got an icky feeling once you've gotten out of the cab, maybe next time you're asked that question, don't do it.
If you feel icky afterwards, it wasn't a good code switch. If you feel like it got you through something you needed,
then it's all good. Maybe we should have a code switching ometer, a code switchometer, and depending on the level and the environment, you know where you're gonna going into the red.
But very interesting that everybody said they do it. Like on the survey. Very interesting.
I think dating is basically code switching in various sentence form.
Yeah.
Like, that is.
Yeah.
So I like that too. Oh, yes. And I'm going to talk about it now for 10 minutes and actually, I haven't got a clue.
All the shit you pretend you like on a date.
Isn't it funny? You know what would be a really interesting question? I think you should go away and I'll do it and I'll go when I'll ask my other half and you
Go
should
on.
ask your other half. How long did it take for the code switching to stop?
Well, that is so interesting because it was like, so sorry, I was winding it down. Now I've wound it up. So there's this whole thing. There's this whole thing on TikTok called boyfriend voice. Do you know it?
I don't have TikTok. I refuse to partake.
I actually don't either, but I think it's like the big stuff makes it through to Instagram. But it's like how straight men talk to their girlfriends in baby voices, but they would never do it around their friends. And it's like, and it's almost like what, because I think in queer relationships, you can almost try and pretend to be straighter than you are, which is, and then you end up being really ridiculously camp in front of each other.
Oh,
And
totally.
I feel, I sort of feel sad saying that because I don't think William would have ever judged me regardless. But anyway, that was what I did. You know what I mean? It was also a long, long time ago now. But it's, yeah, I think that's code switching within a relationship.
Oh, totally. Totally.
Yes. How long did it take? Okay. How long did it take William?
Yes.
Well, I know that on the morning after we first met, and we met and stayed together on the night. So I don't know why I had to provide that detail.
Everyone, look. You know, you like what you like. One night in heaven.
I'll code switch that. But in the morning, he said, we were talking, having a coffee, and he was like, "Oh, that's the problem with mothers." He said, "Oh, it's the problem. Poor mothers with gay sons, because you've always got an opinion on the curtains." And I was like, "Ha, that's cool." Like, I love that he said that, and he was willing to be, because he was never like that. But I actually think back then, because this is 12 years ago, 14 years ago, like back then, people were like, that whole straight acting thing was very acceptable to be said. Like, I only like straight acting people, you know. I don't think that's quite the same now. But,
no, what a bore.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
use all the colours in your bloody pencil case.
Yeah. But so, and I was like, oh, cool. He's not one of those kind of people who's going to try and be straight, you know.
Hashtag mask for mask.
All that bullshit. I know. By the way, I fully used to say I didn't fancy camp guys and all of that when I was younger, and you know, then therapy saved me from understanding why I was doing that.
Survival.
Bullshit. Yeah. Well,
bullshit.
Whatever
it is.
It was back.
It's gone now. It's been cast out.
Oh, honey, it's gone. So, listeners, write in hello@homosapienspodcast.com. Kadiff, this has been the most beautiful first episode. Thank you so much.
I have had a wonderful time. Thank you for having me.
We've got to do community notice board. I need to quickly look one up. Have you got a show that you've liked that might still be on? That's quite hard to...
Yes, I do. I would recommend our listeners go and see Punch by James Graham, directed by Adam Pentford. It's currently on at the Apollo Theatre in the West End. It's a transfer from the Nottingham Playhouse, which eventually went to the Young Vic Theatre in London, and then now it's on the West End for another 10 weeks, I believe. I saw it last Friday, and it is still very much something at the forefront of my brain. It's an incredible story with so much empathy, truth, inspiration, and learning in this play, and it's really dynamically written and directed, and the cast are just incredible, and I've got a feeling it's probably going to end up going on tour as well. It's just opened at the Manhattan Theatre Workshop as well on Broadway this week. So American listeners, if you're in New York, head on over. And it's queer because the writer's queer and the director's queer. And there's a queer element to the story, which I won't give away. Just go and watch it.
Okay, thank you. That's very good.
How's that?
Now, I'm going to shout out... That was perfect.
Oh, God, I'm good at this.
You're very good at it. So I'm going to shout out a weird one. It's not really a thing, but it's a thing I like. So there's this guy called Tim Abbott on Instagram, and I follow him. And he has done this thing where he has decided that he was living in Sydney, being like a sort of a gay. He's not an a gay. He's really nice, but like as in he was living this amazing glamorous life, and he's decided to jack it all in and go and live in a caravan in the Australian outback and sort of save to do the next thing he wants to do with his life. And it's just really interesting watching him do that.
Wow.
And in a way, I'm imagining there's a bit of code switching that has to go on from being like in Sydney, where it's all super queer and fun, and going out to the outback, which I've been there. It is not queer.
No, I can
So
imagine.
yeah,
Okay.
and Australian masculinity is a whole interesting thing. You know, it's a very masculine. It's a really interesting place. It's an amazing place, but there's a lot of that. Talking to
Mm,
Australians about it, I was really interested to hear stuff.
okay. So that's Tim Abbott,
Tim Abbott on Instagram. Follow
Instagram,
him.
and that is Punch, also on Instagram.
Coming soon.
Coming
Instagram near
soon.
you. Stay in touch at Homo Sapiens on Instagram, at Homo Sapiens Podcast. What? No, at Homo Sapiens Pod on YouTube. Hello at Homo Sapiens Podcast is the email. Thank you very much. And goodbye.
Bye.